We have a rainy few days coming up in our forecast, and I am so thankful for that. But in order for my garden to benefit most from this rain, I do have some gardening tasks that I want to get done, and I'm taking you with me. Hi, you guys. This is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in Growing Zone 8B, and we are in southeastern North Carolina. Some of the gardening work I like to get done before a nice rain is potting things up or planting things in the ground, because I know that the plants that I'm putting into fresh soil are going to get the consistent rain that they desire, and I don't have to worry about the stress of keeping up with that. So one of the things I have on my to-do list is this major pot of coleus. I am looking to divide this huge window box planter up into some smaller pots that can go in my shade garden. I put tiny plugs of coleus into this window box planter. Oh, I don't even know how long. Coleus just takes off and grows and grows and grows. However, in my shade garden, I want to put these 8-inch terracotta pots using these brackets that are going to get mounted onto my fence. So I have multiple brackets, multiple terracotta pots that look like this, and I'm going to show you where I want to put them. So this is the shade garden behind my shed, and my idea here is I have coleus in window boxes along the shed, but I have blank spaces along the fence line. So I actually want to hang the pots with their little cute black hangers up here, and that means I need to fill up the pots with some coleus. Step one, of course, is I'm getting my potting mix already into my pots, and then we're gonna show you how to take the cuttings from the coleus and start rocking and rolling on. All right, so let's take our cuttings that we want to actually root into those pots. And the first thing I do is use alcohol, just regular rubbing alcohol. I use it on a cotton ball, doesn't really matter. But this is how I clean my utensils before taking cuttings. I want to make sure I'm not spreading disease around on my plants, and especially sensitive new cuttings of a plant. So I've been talking a lot about coleus lately and how you can take just stem cuttings of it and have it root directly into soil or water. But in this case, we're rooting directly into soil. And some of these plants that I have here are very leggy. That's the word we like to use, leggy. Tall with not a lot of foliage going on. So what I'm going to do is take a stem cutting of this coleus right here. This just happens to be my favorite one with the hot pink in the center veining. And then I'm going to remove my bottom leaves. These spots where I'm removing these leaves create these open leaf nodes, and that's actually where this plant is going to root from. So I can take this cutting as it is and put it directly into one of my pots. Now, since the pots are 8 inches, I kind of want more cuttings than that to go into one. And this pot literally is only here for me to be able to take cuttings and do things like this. So I'm going to take whatever I want over here. Again, here's my leaf nodes. So I'll plant multiple of this color and style into one pot. Let's see. So I have 3 really good ones. That's plenty because coleus grows quickly and easily, but this will be one of my pots. I'm going to cut the flower off at the top because I just don't want the energy going into the flower. This one's kind of long and leggy, but I'm not sure what to do with it. Maybe I should do it from up there. I don't know. And the soil is so loose and supple that I don't really have to do anything else besides just stick these stems directly into it and make sure those leaf nodes that I talked about are underneath the soil. Okay, this part's done. Now, just in case the sun does decide to come out in the next few days, I am going to put these guys into a little more of a protected spot, which means a shadier area so they don't get burnt or bothered or stressed out by the sun until they start to be able to produce their roots. So we're going to get some nice waterfall on these, which is excellent. And then, like I said, they'll be protected from the sun. Time for our next project. The next thing we're going to talk about is the deer and rabbit pressure, because we want to make sure we're taking care of our plants and stuff so that they're protected before they get eaten. And my wonderful example of a fully now eaten plant is this sweet potato vine that had a lot of leaves on it, was long and drapey and beautiful, and now it is 100% nubs. And that's because I didn't get to spray before this happened. And I saw that this was beginning to happen, and I think it's a deer that's coming our way, and it's an awfully skinny deer, so I think he wants to eat absolutely anything he can. So here's the thing. This is why I'm bringing this up and having it be a before it rains kind of situation. This deer and rabbit liquid fence deterrent has worked for me, and it is rain resistant. So if we're going to get like 5 days, let's just say, of very heavy rain, no, I'm going to have to spray again after the fact. However, if it's going to rain here and there over the next few days, I want to have my plants that I know the deer wants to eat protected with liquid fence. And then, because what happens if during a lull of rain, the deer come out and want to nibble? But I'm not coming out in between the rain to make sure my plant is sprayed. So I'm going to do this now in advance. And then the next thing I need to do is, I think my DIY garden easel needs to be moved into my backyard. It has too much pressure up here, not just from the deer, but also from the afternoon sun, and things have just not been thriving in it. So step one is spray what I need to spray around the front of the yard, not in the fenced backyard, and then get this garden easel moved into the back. I was just getting ready to spray this dragon's breath celosia because you can see there are some nibbles taken out of it right here. Well, here is my pickup truck planter, and look what I found on it. Mr. Big Fat Black Slug. So that's also a problem. If it's going to be rainy, humid, wet, moist in your area, you may notice some of these things coming around, which incidentally match my mulch in this case, but he was just hanging out on the truck like it was his. Now, I know this is disgusting, but using salt on the slugs dries them right up, and I'm so sorry that you're going to see this. It's like an instantaneous thing. So you may want to be on the lookout for bugs in the garden as well to see what you can help your plants with in advance of the major rain. So also another observation that I can see as I come out to spray for the deer and rabbits is I have an awful lot of grass encroaching into my flower beds. That's something I really don't like. I am a lover of clean lines on my flower beds. So I like to define those lines, keep the mulch separate, keep the grass separate. Yes, of course, that's like the most ideal situation for a gardener if you don't have the grass creeping in. However, if it's going to be rainy, the grass and the weeds getting into the Island of Misfit Toys, which is the name that I lovingly have for the garden space behind me, it's going to get even worse. So I'm going to bust out with my edger right now and clean up some of these weeds in advance of that rain to hopefully keep the look of the weeds down for the next few days. So I grabbed my edging stuff to get those weeds out, but as I was walking past my peninsula garden, I just wanted to show you two things. See, I keep noticing stuff. My daylilies are back out for a second flush. Now, they, of course, are closed up right now because it's early morning, but you can see that I have more of them back there. So it's always a delight to see things on a second flush. But the other one that's even more important is my Luna Rose hardy hibiscus. And I have a lot more buds on that guy too, but it's beautiful to see the hibiscus coming out for its second flush as well. Okay, on to the weeds. So you can fully see my sandy soil here, but what I wanted to show, what I just ran into, let's see if I can find them. I ran into fire ants. Here they are. They're all up this direction. Can you see them all moving around? I hope you can. Yes, so this is one of the delights of gardening in the South, is fire ants that want to come and bite you and sting you and make you itch and burn. It's pretty atrocious, and all you could do is, well, kill them with fire ant killer or whatever, but I'm going to vacate this area because I don't want them crawling on me at all. I have something else to show you instead. So we're now inside the fence line from the Island of Misfit Toys. So I just wanted to point this out. If anyone was here with me while I extended the garden bed behind me, which is where I potted up all of my vegetables and I added drip irrigation to each one of my vegetable pots. When I was making this area bigger, I had to dig out all of this sod, not necessarily from the fence forward because I had a little bit of a garden there, but I was making it wider or deeper, I guess. And I was turning the sod over. So I'd cut pieces of sod in chunks and flip it over. And that was the way that I was kind of getting rid of it, if you will, instead of the more difficult ways you could do it. I just wanted to show you, this is months later and it worked. So flipping the sod over worked. I did not grow grass from the bottom side of it. And I wanted to point that out because I told you I would share those results with you when I had them. So this Mound Destroyer fire ant poison basically is what I use. It is granulated. I use gloved hands in order to get it and sprinkle it where I need it to go. So I am going to handle that, but like I said, I'm also going to avoid this area because it is not worth getting fire ants up your arms, in on your legs. I'm already wearing long sleeves today to avoid mosquitoes and no-see-ums. I don't need any other kind of bugs on me. All right, so we're gonna leave this area be for now. So I started to get my edging line crisped up, but even more important than that, I feel like, is the amount of weeds I pulled out of this space. So now I can actually see the black mulch without it being covered in little tiny patches of unwanted green, especially along the fence line there. So yeah, do I have other gardening work to do? Of course. But getting rid of the weeds today before all the rain was what my plan was. So it's sprinkling now, which is totally fine because I feel a little bit more prepared. So some of the things we went over are getting your plants that maybe you've been neglecting into the ground, or pot things up that you meant to so that they can soak up all of this rainwater. We want to look out for bugs, and if we can get any bugs out of our plants, out of our gardens, whatever, before they're wreaking havoc. Now, the fire ants don't necessarily wreak havoc on the plants, except I have had them in cases where the mound is so thick and like full of them that it has messed with the root system of the plants, but largely they're just there to mess with us. Slugs, however, yeah, they're going to damage our plants. We want to make sure we're on top of that. Obviously, deer, rabbits, all of that sort of pressure as well. So it's kind of all that nature. We're trying to figure out ways that we can make it work a little bit more in our garden's favor. So that's kind of the idea of everything that we did today. So hopefully you found it helpful. And until next time, you guys, happy planting.